Fuck you, Doritos. Go back to the original.
Go back to the original. Okay, but Fast and Furious...
Chop, chop. Bitches.
Welcome to Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast, turkeys. It's our Thanksgiving special.
And they're... Okay. Yeah, therefore, this...
Yeah, I'm holding up... This is a little turkey beanie baby. His name is Gobbles.
You have a beanie baby?
Yeah, I have a beanie baby.
I wonder how much that motherfucker's worth.
Probably like $2. So welcome to our Thanksgiving special. I'm your co-host, Melanie Gibson, and to celebrate, I am having this comically small bottle of wild turkey that I took from my parents because they gave me some little mini liquor bottles as a joke for Halloween. So let's see if I can't open this. AJ, can you open this for me? Can you introduce yourself while you're opening my whiskey?
No, woman.
What's your name?
You just said it.
This is AJ Wall, and he opened my little bottle of wild turkey. Now, sometimes I like to take shots. Ooh, glug, glug, glug. I like that
It's
sound.
AJ except in my family. In
All
which
right.
case, they're not allowed to say it, because
That's
it's weird.
That's a good burn. Okay. I like a good burn. Now, I sometimes I take shots, but I like to sip, and I like my whiskey neat.
I can smell that.
Yummy. More for me. So we're doing something a little different this time. We've talked about movie franchises and we've talked about specific movies, and for our Thanksgiving special, we wanted to talk about movies that we're thankful for and kind of celebrating our friendship too, because we've known each other for about 8 years, going on 9 years, and one of the things that we bonded over the most are watching movies and introducing movies to each other and making the other one watch movies. So
And anime.
And anime, yeah. This list includes some anime.
Well, I guess series, but yeah,
we've got
anime.
one series in here. But so we're going to go through a list of 20 movies and one anime series that one of us has introduced the other to and made a really big impact, and we really loved watching it. And they usually end up being ones that we watch over and over again. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 is The Man from Earth.
Yeah.
Came out in 2007, and it has an interesting backstory. It was written by a man named Jerome Bixby, who was a sci-fi writer. He started writing this movie, the concept for this movie, in 1968 or so. He completed it on his deathbed in 1988. I know, it's sad that he didn't really get to see what happened with it. So it was made into a film, and it feels like almost like an off-Broadway play. It's about 5 or 6 people in a house, and it's just one long, hour and a half long conversation.
Yeah.
Tony Todd is in it, who we love from Candyman, although he's not the main character, but he's one of the characters in it. And it's really mind-blowing. Someone introduced it to me, and then I made AJ watch it. So AJ, why don't you kind of say how that movie impacted you and how you feel about it? Don't give away the reveal. There's a huge reveal.
I was just going to say, there's a moment towards the end where I was like, alright. What? No!
And I was watching him have his mind blown. So, yeah, it's such a good movie.
Basically, a man reveals his catastrophic secret to his colleagues because he's moving away, because he always has to move away.
To move on.
And just what that can mean for human society, kind of. And it's fucking awesome. It looks like the whole budget was spent on the camera they used to film it.
What if a man from the upper Paleolithic survived until the present day?
You know what could happen? Yeah, the pancreas turns over cells every 24 hours, the stomach lining in 3 days, the entire body in 7 years, but the process falters. Now, if a quirk in his immune system led to perfect detox, perfect renewal, then yeah, he could duck decay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a low-budget movie, but it doesn't need to be. It's just great acting, incredible dialogue, incredible writing. And
it's kind of like a Twilight Zone episode.
It does. It feels like a long Twilight Zone episode. And there is a sequel to it. It's not as good, but if you're a fan of the movie, then it's worth watching.
I still liked it.
I liked it.
The one thing they could have explored more wasn't enough of the movie to me. But
yeah.
And there's supposed to be this third one.
Ooh.
They're supposed to be. I don't know if they'll ever put the money together to do it. Or maybe they're waiting for the guy to get to a different place in his life or something.
Yeah, so The Man
Who
from
knows?
Earth. Go watch it or rent it. Very worth it. Okay, number 2 is one that AJ insisted on us watching on New Year's Eve. And I'd been kind of putting it off, and I was like, man, I'm not interested. But AJ insisted, and I ended up loving it. And that's Soul by Disney, which came out in 2020. and stars Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey. And it's about a man with just kind of a mundane life who discovers the meaning of life. And I love it. It's, you know, it's got that Disney quality, but it's such a good story. I mean, I've never seen such a good take on kind of the meaning of life without being preachy.
It's the
or pushing
adult
it.
Disney movie. Like,
It is. I think every adult needs to watch it, especially if you're going through kind of an existential crisis, which I seem to be doing every other month or so, because, you know, I have depression, so I'm always in an existential crisis. But it makes you kind of recalibrate the way you think about things. I think we should watch it again on New Year's Eve, just to reset, watch it again.
It's like, it's the kind of like spiritual sequel in a way to Inside Out.
Yes.
Like, Inside Out is about being a kid and learning, like, life fucking sucks and your emotions gotta go the way they gotta go. And then this is like, life fucking sucks, but it doesn't have to suck as bad as you're making it.
And life is what you make it, basically. So
not in like that bullshit, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps or anything like that. No, not that. Just your outlook.
I mean, if anything, it's a very complex movie, but it's so simple in its message, and that's what I really like. Okay, can we move on?
Also, the afterlife thing was super creative. Anyway.
Yes, it was. I always like people's take on the afterlife, and I'd be okay with this version of the afterlife. So, the third one is the one series that we have out of this. All the rest are movies, and that is the Japanese anime Fruits Basket.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the original version based on the manga.
That's where all the zodiac beads are on my arm from.
Yeah.
That's what that is, because it's fucking amazing.
It is. So it was based on the Japanese manga. It was made into an anime first in 2001, and then it was redone with 3 seasons from 2019 and just finished this year in 2021. And that's one of the ones where I was sobbing at the end of one of the final episodes. I was just so attached to these characters. I really don't cry that much anymore. Like, I don't know if something's broken inside my head, but I just don't. Other than things like Pixar movies and stuff.
I lost my shit for a character I didn't even like.
I know, yeah. Creed 2?
No. What the hell?
I don't know.
No, not that. What we're talking about right now.
Oh, in Fruits Basket?
Yeah, the rabbit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What's his name?
Momiji.
Momiji. Fuck Momiji, but he fucking made me cry.
Yeah, I was just, like, choking sobs when I thought a character was dead and things were okay, but I was just... so emotional. But the way AJ described it to me was a couple of years ago. It's just like, it's so chill. It's the perfect thing to watch on a summer afternoon.
Yeah.
And it is. It just makes you feel so good.
The original series especially, at least for the chill part. Like,
yeah,
the music is so...
Oh, God, just look up the original opening to Fruits Basket.
So happy when you smiled. Your smile breaks through the clouds of gray, far from the sunny days that lie in sleep.
And if you listen to it, you're like, it's fucking gay. Well, sorry.
Sorry. It's so cool. And then the remake gets a lot darker, which I think is closer to the manga. So it gives you the whole backstory. It gives you a lot of good closure with all the characters.
And this is the only piece of media at all where you might actually give a shit about 2 teenagers, like, loving each other.
I know, the only time I hate rom-coms.
And all of them, like, not just 1 or 2.
I hate rom-coms, but I'm always all about the teenage romance in anime.
Romeo and Juliet is a story can suck a dick.
But the anime version...
well, yeah, then there's the anime version of that, which is amazing.
Okay.
But in this, it's good.
Okay, so moving on to number 4, and that's Grave of the Fireflies, which was an anime movie released in 1988. I think unless I got this wrong, the U.S. release was 1993. This is another one that AJ made me watch, because he's more of the anime person than I am. And it's about 2 siblings who are orphaned and kind of lost in the aftermath of World War II. And as we'll talk about one of our later movies, I think it's very interesting to get the Japanese perspective from World War II, because when you grow up in the United States, you get very much pro-USA, World War II, Japan's the enemy. They awoke the great giant of the U.S. and kicked their ass and stuff. But you don't think about just the civilians who were caught up in it and didn't really have a choice in what was going on.
And
so
the propaganda and stuff.
Yeah,
like
and the propaganda on both sides.
the
and
boy
then
that has to find out that they lost the war is like, no, we can't
Well,
have lost the war.
And then there's another, speaking of anime making you cry, I won't say what happens at the end, but I was fucking wrecked at the end of this movie. I was just like openly weeping and sobbing at the end of this movie. It killed me. I'm getting all watery-eyed thinking about it right now. It'll wreck your day, but it's worth it. Sometimes you just need to feel something that deep and see a human story that moving.
And if you're like me and you don't cry, apparently that means you don't have a soul.
Maybe you need to find one with Joe and 22.
I was told this by Dawn, actually, of all people.
Okay. So get ready to talk about the fifth one, because this is one I introduced to you, and that is Sideways from 2004.
Sideways is the shit.
It's the shit. It stars Paul Giamatti, Thomas Hayden Church, Virginia Madsen, and Sandra Oh. And I'd seen it a couple of times, and I've actually been to, not the Napa area, but I have family in Santa Barbara, so I've been to the Calira Winery and some of the winery areas around there. And I love wine. So I wasn't really sure if AJ would like it, because he doesn't drink.
If anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
And so I showed it to him just one summer. It was like part of our summer chill series. Needed something to chill out. And you tell me about your reaction to it. Because we watched it many times since then, even with the Spanish dub.
Oh yeah.
Just for fun.
It's just so calming. The music is great. Paul Giamatti's always awesome. Thomas Hayden Church. Them together as a duo is terrific.
Yeah.
Just this guy dealing with this weird part in his life for a week away. Like, just that is enough. Paul Giamatti's so good
I know,
at
and
acting. Smallest little things that he says.
Yeah, I was just thinking, he says something, one little sentence, and it shows how heartbroken he is. His wife has remarried, and all he says is, the guy with the restaurant, and the way he says it, the way he moves his face, it crushes me every single time. I've probably seen this movie 10 times. It crushes me every time he says that.
And the wine monologue from both him and
Virginia Madsen.
Well, Maya. We may maybe not now. Down the line, I might want to do like a whole video on Sideways, not to make fun of it or anything, but talk about the weirdness of the author being basically the main character of the story and all that shit.
Because we've read all the books too.
But all the characters are way better in the movie. Anyway, but we both like I like Miles's monologue best for what I think it says, and you like hers best for what you think it says.
Yeah,
it's always interesting.
There's a moment where it's one of those late nights, and I think we've all had those moments where you're really connecting with somebody. You're at a house, like an after party, and talking, and they're talking about wine, and I think Miles talks about why he likes Pinot Noir so much, and Virginia Madsen kind of talks more in general about her passion for wine, and it's really moving. And I mean, I like wine, so but it's, if somebody who doesn't drink wine, doesn't really care about that, can get into it.
I still really liked it.
I think that's the sign of a good movie. If it's a topic you're completely uninterested in, and they still hook you in with the storytelling and the acting, and you've actually reread the books more than I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about
So, I drink wine for the both of us.
So this became one of my favorite movies in general, just ever.
Yeah. So number 6 is Lost in Translation, which came out in 2003. It was directed by Sofia Coppola, daughter of Francis Ford Coppola, and stars Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. And this is one that I introduced to AJ as kind of also a very chill movie, and that's what I like about it.
Does make you want to go to Japan and just see the weird nightlife. I like the best part to me is the I don't know how to put it, like the finding of someone else to bond with in an awkward place and making it totally fun, and it's platonic, and it's just nice, and it's
so chill. It's so chill and low key. It's just two people connecting, In a strange environment.
And they sort of play with it being, like, not romantic exactly, but her having, like, maybe more feelings than he does, and then they, they do the smart thing. They don't do that stupid Hollywood thing where
They hook at that.
They have to do something.
No, it's kind of like, I think you can have romantic moments with people, and it's not a sexual thing. It's just you have a loving connection with somebody, a shared moment, which maybe takes you back to the whole purpose of what Soul teaches us. It's just those little moments in life. Okay, now to completely change gears and ruin our lives, number 7 is Akira from 1988, which is an anime science fiction. And this is one AJ made me watch last year, which it was perfect for 2020.
Oh, yeah, it just happens to be based in 2019?
It's based in 2019, and it's the apocalypse, and the 2020 Tokyo Olympics are canceled. Either way, you're fucked either way, whether you're in the world of Akira or you were in, like, July of 2020 when we watched this movie.
Yeah.
And you'd seen it before, right?
Yeah, I'd watched it once or twice, and it's amazingly, it's a beautiful movie. Like, the animation, the design, all that shit that I don't know anything about looks awesome, and it was done in the 80s, and it looks better than a lot of stuff they do now.
Yeah, like, I think I need to watch it again to kind of wrap my mind around the story, because it's kind of mind-blowing. Although
you can go back and just always sort of pick up a little bit more.
Yeah, I do appreciate that I've seen it, because now I get some of the references from the South Park episode where Cartman gets the Trapper Keeper and morphs into this giant monster, and that's basically what happens at the end of Akira. So my dumb ass is sitting there going, look, it's Cartman.
It's very existential and almost Lovecraftian, I guess. It's got that body horror stuff.
Cosmic horror, body horror. Yeah, that's one that'll kind of fuck up your world in a different way. And speaking of that, well, let's stay with ruining our lives. Number 8 is one that we decided to see together. So I'm kind of squeezing in a few things that we decided as two friends to see together and go on this journey together. And this one is called In This Corner of the World. And it's another Japanese anime that came out in 2016. We saw it, the Modern Art Museum in Fort Worth has an anime fest every late summer, early fall. And we went to watch it. I think we saw this one in maybe 2018, 2019.
2018.
Yeah, it was 2018.
This felt very much like this is what you think of as like an art film festival type of movie to me. It was so stylistic.
It almost looked like a watercolor.
Yeah, the entire thing was like watercolor style, which is very strange for animation.
And this was another one where it was just a slice of life of ordinary citizens living through World War II. Maybe not as devastating as Grave of the Fireflies, but pretty damn close.
I mean, and this kind of just stuck to this one woman's lifespan over getting arranged marriage and living in the country, and then just living with bombs falling overhead and family members blaming each other for whatever and making life worse.
Yeah, just the stress of it, and it made me feel really ignorant as just not really thinking about, what are other people going through. When we hear about, maybe that's something as you learn about history is learn about the other side too, is not, I'm not making excuses for anybody, but think about just the normal people who were affected by a war or a political movement. I like those slice of life stories, and it puts some humanity into other people that you may not think about. So.
And we haven't watched it since because it's so fucking devastating.
It's so devastating. It's
like,
so good.
I think that the rest of that entire afternoon, and luckily it was like a summer hot afternoon, we were just like, oh, fuck.
Okay, let's just go swim or
the
something.
The fuck do we do now?
Yeah. Okay, number 9, we're all over the place with this list, is The Purge. That AJ had seen before. And right at the beginning of the pandemic, you went to maybe Game Exchange or something and brought back this movie, and I'm like, oh, I've never seen this. It's not really my kind of thing. It came out in 2013, but we just happened to watch it on March 21st, which is Purge Day. So, perfect movie to watch right at the beginning of our own little apocalypse. I liked it. It was cool. I probably will watch the sequels at some point, but we missed it this year. I was hoping we could watch it again on March 21st, but we'll have to catch it next March 21st. Okay. Number 10, we have a lot of anime on this list. This one is Your Name, which AJ had seen in the theater and then bought the DVD and had me watch it. It came out in 2016, and then I watched it maybe 2 years ago.
Wow, it's already been 5 years. Fuck.
So, anyway, you want to talk about this movie?
This movie is the shit. Like, there's a reason this movie won, like, all the awards that year, because it's so fucking good.
Talk a little bit about just the premise.
Okay, so it's not the first movie to do, like, a gender blendery type of storyline, but it's the first one I've seen where it's like this, and the intertwining of this girl and this boy is, like, very intricate, and there's a couple of huge, like, reveals where it's just like, fuck! Like,
Thinks the Lake House, but good.
Yeah, whatever that was. Everything about this movie is, like, perfect. Like, even the band, they got to play all the music. I love all of it.
And this is one where, like, I really care about these two teenagers getting together when I normally don't. So, anime has a way of doing that. But it's not just about these two, teenagers and kind of a romance blossoming, but it's everything going on in their lives. There's something that affects a whole city. And so, it's kind of it messes with the concept of time.
Yeah.
So, beautiful visuals. The way they do water is just stunning.
And I don't know what it is. There's something about these sorts of movies, especially anime movies, that seem to make these really big stories that make, like, if you were living that person's life, you could really feel the importance of what you're doing, which is a strange, like, thing I enjoy a lot.
Are you saying putting yourself in somebody else's shoes can help you appreciate your own life better?
Not at all.
Okay, I missed that. It's the whiskey talking.
Oh, yeah, I just meant more that, like, how often do you feel like most of what you're doing doesn't really, like, matter? It's just...
Most of the time.
You're doing your own fucking thing, but, like, if you could have a day where you, like, what you did, like, really helped save people or whatever in general.
Made a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, your name really makes that stick.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So, speaking of making an impact on somebody's life and changing it perhaps for the better, that brings us to number 11. And that's Saw from 2004. So, Saw is
That's
number
why
11.
I'm here.
Saw came out in 2004. And that was one that I stayed away from because I like horror, but I don't like gross stuff, like a lot of bodies, gore, and eyes being gouged out, and people's heads being split open and stuff. It's just gross. I don't want to look at it. But AJ talked me into watching it, and it was good. It was. It kind of feels like a one-man show on Broadway,
with blood and
guts and stuff, and chopped off limbs and gouged out eyes. So
and Russian roulette.
Yeah, Carrie Elwes is in it. The Dread Prince
unrecognizable.
Roberts. Yeah, the Dread Prince Roberts from The Princess Bride, and Danny Glover is also in it. And it mostly takes place in this one room, which I like movies, kind of like The Man from Earth.
Yeah.
I like movies that can pull that off. If you can do that for an hour and a half and keep me interested, good for you. That's good writing.
I remember when I first saw this movie, there's a moment, we're trying to be non-spoilery right now, but...
since we spoil everything else in all of our other episodes.
That's the whole point of our reviews, is spoiling. But later on in the movie, there's some guy just beating the shit out of somebody that really deserves it. And I remember my friend Mark I was watching with, like, jumping up, like, fuck him up! Fuck him up! Like, he's hitting this dude with the back of a toilet.
I don't remember that
And he's
part.
just fucking... and it's the middle of the day. My dad's outside. I can see him on it. I can see my dad outside the window, like, on his tractor going around, like, tearing up the grass. And Mark just, fuck him up! Fuck him up! Like,
wouldn't that be degrading? Like, you're already getting the shit beat out of you, and then somebody's beating you with, like, a toilet lid?
Yeah.
And that's the story of you.
I mean, at least it was the back of the toilet. Like, it was
It wasn't like the dirty shit smeared seat.
No, that would be its own horror movie. Everything after that, like, it would probably be fun to go back and watch all the Saw movies.
Just to make fun of them, to see how stupid they
because
get.
they're insane. Okay, the amount of, like, overlapping stories that happens in Fast and Furious, and it makes no fucking sense. They do the same thing in Saw. It's like, this guy was tricked into doing this, and this guy actually used to work for that guy, and this guy
and it's
still
like the
works
movie
for that
Crash, and they're all connected.
guy.
So
And this guy just happens to have lost his tongue, and now he sings in a choir. I don't know. But yeah, it's they're fucking shit.
Okay, now I
But the
kinda
first one was really good.
The first one was really good. Like, and I'm have become a big horror fan, and that's like a good one. I think if you want
Horror.
to work your way into horror movies. So, all right, number 12. This is the series, the Planet of the Apes series, and this is one that
Fuck
AJ
yes.
insisted we watch. I'm not a sci-fi person. I don't particularly like it. I had seen the one with the Draco Malfoy guy in it, where they all started using guns, which
Tom
was kind
Hiddleston?
of funny. Yeah, Tom Felton.
Felton.
So I'd seen one of the remakes in the theater. I don't even remember why, but I'd never seen the originals. And then they were all on HBO Max, and I think it was your idea. You'd seen maybe the first
Yes.
one.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I grew up all sci-fi and shit because I'm not that into sci-fi in general, but my dad is, and horror movies and stuff. Like, we used to stay up on. Well, he stayed up whenever the fuck he wanted, but whenever
That's what you can do when you're a grown
when I
up.
was like 12, I started staying up like up until midnight every night, like with my dad, watching like fucking reruns of Tales from the Crypt and all this shit all the way through summer. And then so he really loved these movies, and I had seen the first two, and I had seen pieces. Well, and then I saw three. Okay, I've seen like several of them, whatever, or at least pieces, and they're so fucking good when they don't,
are
when they
really
shouldn't
good.
be. It's like, okay, the first one, there's plenty of commentary you can get out of that, and it felt like people in general thought, okay, we can squeeze another one out of here, but it's not going to be that much, so we'll drop the budget a little bit, and that happened every time. But every single time, it was still a good fucking movie.
It really was a good movie, and it like their mouths didn't even move. Like the makeup was good, but it was also very plastic
Roddy
looking.
McDowell.
But the actors, and then I think Kim Hunter was the name of Zira.
Yes.
Yeah, so the two main apes in the first one were played by Roddy McDowell, who's Cornelius, and Zira, who I think her name was Kim Hunter. And they do so much with just their eyes. They're so good. They're so good.
I could watch Roddy McDowell all fucking day. I don't care what he's doing.
They were so smart because they bring him back as Cornelius' son Caesar, and he plays his son, and he is so brilliant.
And you get to see him go from like sissy doctor to like Caesar the Conqueror and his fucking war speech and shit.
Where there is fire, there is smoke. And in that smoke, from this day forward, my people will crouch and conspire and plot and plan for the inevitable day of man's downfall, the day when he finally and self-destructively turns his weapons against his own kind, the day of the writing in the sky, when your cities lie buried under radioactive rubble.
You bet, like, you've done Shakespeare in the Park, haven't you?
Yeah.
So this is like good old-fashioned, good old-school acting.
Yeah. Also, kind of fuck them for like changing the ending of the fifth one, which is Battle for the Planet of the... Not Battle for... I'm sorry.
It was
not the
fourth
fifth one, the fourth one. I think it's Battle for the Planet of the Apes? Or whatever. It's the fourth one. Fourth one. Maybe it's Conquest. But they like did with test audiences. They were like, I don't know about this. This is kind of violent or whatever.
It's
Because
violent.
he had this like big speech of like, we're fucking you guys up, and he's like, we will be in the shadows of the flames. And
yeah, it's just like, oh.
and then
God,
they
it's so good.
edited it to him like close up on his eyes, and you could tell he was recording an audio session, and it's like, but we can be merciful and humane today.
Damn it.
Like, it wasn't even well done. They were like, look, we're not getting everybody back together. We just need you to like say some lines in a booth.
And the humans were pretty good too. Ricardo Montalban,
The original
from Fantasy Island, was in I think the third one and the fourth one.
No. Yeah, third and fourth.
Third and fourth one, and he
The
is
original is
delightful.
Antonio Banderas.
Yes, he is so delightful and charming. I remember watching Fantasy Island as a kid, and he was also Khan in The Wrath of Khan, and
It's
so
like he's trying to seduce the entire world every
just
time
like
he
everybody
speaks.
take off your panties. Like okay, so. All right, Planet of the Apes. Watch it on HBO Max. If you don't, it's like a good sci-fi. If you don't like sci-fi, I don't like sci-fi. I love these movies. So, all right, number 13 is Unleashed from 2005 with Jet Li and Bob Hoskins.
My
This is
favorite Jet Li movie.
this is another one that AJ introduced me to. I do martial arts and taekwondo and stuff, but I haven't really been into martial arts movies. So that was something that AJ.
We literally
introduced
had
me
a
to.
conversation where I was talking about a Jackie Chan movie. And she said, I don't like martial arts movies. And I was like, you punch shit with your hands. Like, you don't like fucking martial arts movies?
I have grown into them.
And
I've grown to like them.
I showed her the magnificence of Rumble in the Bronx and all this
I know,
other
and I
stuff.
was making fun of it at first because the DVDs was like, it's Jackie Chan does his own stunts. And then halfway through the movie, I'm like, he does his own stunts. It's amazing. He does his own stunts.
I mean, it's worth it if it's good enough stunts.
Yeah, so let's talk about Unleashed.
I prefer Jackie Chan, but this is a really, really good Jet Li movie. I don't even really like Jet Li.
It doesn't even
that
feel
much.
like it's not really a martial arts movie. It's just like a good action movie with a really fucked up story.
It's kind of a family drama and like
but in a fucked up way.
Like it. What's his name is in it? Morgan Freeman is a blind pianist, and he accidentally meets this guy who's exists to beat the shit out of people, and he's a trained dog.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins is a scary villain in it. He's kind of a mob boss, and he has basically kidnapped Jet Li from when he was a child, and he's his trained dog. Like he'll sick him on people, and Jet Li will kill them. But of course, there's he abuses him. He treats him like shit. He had had a thing with his mother, and he killed her, and so Morgan Freeman shows some mercy on him, and I think teaches him how to play the piano. So
yeah.
Everybody in that movie is good, and Jet Li is he's freaking heartbreaking. Like he's a monster, he can kill people, but then they keep him in a cage, and he has like a teddy bear and a little alphabet book, and I want to cry every time I see that.
You can he punches your heart with painful tears.
I know, I want to cry for all the weird reasons in that. Okay, changing gears. Number 14 is a movie I introduced AJ to, and that is Clueless from 1995. Now, I'll just age myself here. I was a teenager when that movie came out, and that was before the teen movies really became a thing. This was almost like it doesn't really feel like a teen movie. It feels like a satire. It's just funny. Like, I can watch it now in my 40s, and I still think it's hilarious. And now it's a good throwback to the 90s with the fashion and the music and everything. So,
and Brittany Murphy is adorable.
Brittany Murphy, yeah, she's so cute in that.
She's fucking
and I don't really like chick movies and stuff, but I really like Clueless, and I wasn't sure if AJ was gonna like it, but
I was hooked when I saw her singing that fucking commercial.
Mentos better.
Mentos fresher, fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
I was like, okay, this is the shit.
She sings the Mentos song.
Oh.
So how do you feel about Clueless?
Yeah, I wasn't ever into the teen movies either, but they're really fun actually for some reason, and this is one of the better ones.
Yeah, Clueless is very aware of itself.
Yeah, it's very aware, and it's got a lot of really good actors before they kind of broke
Alicia
out.
Silverstone, Paul Rudd is in it.
That one guy who wrote a lot of the stuff on Robot Chicken was the skater kid.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but yeah.
Yeah. So, well, if you want to watch a teen movie and it's not another teen movie, which is the best of
That's
all of
also
them.
yeah, but Clueless still doesn't feel like a teen movie. It just feels like a movie about teenagers, but you can enjoy it.
That's
at
my
any
point.
age.
If you want to watch a teen movie, but it's actually good, there you go.
Then watch Clueless. Okay, so number 15 is a movie that AJ introduced me to called Frailty. That was made in 2001, and it's got 3 Texans in it.
Frailty needs to be seen by everyone.
Everybody. It stars Bill Paxton.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, Bill Paxton was from Fort Worth, where we live, and he unfortunately died during heart surgery. Matthew McConaughey, who is from Longview, Texas, and then Powers Booth, who is from my hometown of Snyder, Texas. And he is no longer with us. So talk about frailty.
Oh,
Just
God.
a little bit of the premise, because it's like a thriller horror
So
kind of thing, and everybody has their natural accents in it. It's great. They all
Yeah.
sound like us.
I saw this like one time when I was 13 or 14, whenever it came out, and I remembered it since then, but I didn't know the name of it, and it was so infuriating. We finally somehow came across it, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" It was like it's like when you've been trying to find a song that you really like a CeeLo Green song for like the last 13
Yeah, that
years,
was
and you
happened.
randomly hear it on the radio. It's like victory. So it's basically this story about two brothers being raised by a single dad who thinks he has been sent a message from God to fight demons. And that's it. And it's like the most fucked up version of Supernatural. Like, that's basically the premise. And it takes directions you wouldn't think of, and it's like, is it or isn't it sort of a movie? Like, how much is real and how much is insanity? And
There's some good twists, and one time my parents were visiting, and my dad always likes to watch a movie in the evening, and I put that one on. He was just on the edge of his seat, like wide eyes the whole time. So
it's so fucking good.
It's so good. It's so good. It messes with your head, and you never know which way it's gonna go. So I could watch that one over and over. Okay, number 16 is one I introduced you to, and this is probably my favorite movie of all time, and that is Goodfellas from 1990.
Yeah.
Directed by Martin Scorsese, stars Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and Robert De Niro, among many other good people.
This is my, I guess, mafia movie. Like, I know The Godfather is supposed to be the best movie of all time or whatever, but like, I liked it, but maybe having it up on that pedestal, I wasn't ready for that.
Does it insist upon itself, like they say in Family Guy?
Yeah,
a little bit.
But
I love The Godfather,
but
yeah.
Goodfellas, it's just the pacing's great. The way they tell the story, the voiceover actually really works, which sometimes it doesn't. Scorsese.
Certain movies, like Casino, where there's a lot of
oh god,
voiceover.
Casino.
There was too much voiceover.
This one's perfect. It has the exact right amount, and maybe it's because this is like from the point of view of the author of the actual book of this guy's life, and maybe that helps. But yeah, I don't. All the acting, Joe Pesci,
and the music, and it's funny, even though it's about these violent mobsters who kill people. It's funny. It's so good.
I don't even like Ray Liotta, but he's good
perfect.
in this.
And as for the book, it's based on a book called Wise Guy, which was interviews with Henry Hill, who was Ray Liotta's character, and his ex-wife, and maybe one or two other people. It was written by a journalist named Nicholas Pileggi, and he interviewed them. And Scorsese does a really good job adapting the book into the movie. A lot of the text from the book ends up as dialogue in the movie. For some reason, they changed some of the names. I don't really know why. Like, Paul Cicero in the movie is really Paul Vario, who died in the Fort Worth Federal Prison. And but it's a really good book adaptation. It's the music. It's like if you can only watch one Scorsese movie forever for the rest of your life, watch Goodfellas. I love this movie. I could watch it over and over. Speaking of Scorsese, number 17 is has been compared to Scorsese movies. And this is Joker from 2019. Now, this is on the list because we'd been hearing about it, weren't really invested in it. And one day I sat at the table and I said, hey, do you want to go see this Joker movie everybody's talking about? And AJ's like, yeah, whatever. So we went to an evening showing.
I saw Joaquin Phoenix was going to be the Joker, and I was like,
okay.
Like that guy in Signs and that weird Emperor character, whatever. But, like, that's all I... But, it fucking...
Yeah, cut to us 2.5 hours later sitting at the table like, fuck.
Like, the entire movie, we were just like, this is so fucking good.
Yeah, and there's a moment... So I have mental illnesses, and I've been through a lot with them, and so...
I remember you leaning over like, I feel seen.
I know! There's a part where he's talking to his social worker, and
You're not
hurts.
listening to me, are you?
It just hurts to see him, Arthur Fleck, Joker character, hurting so badly. And the way the mentally ill are treated in our society. And people still, it was interesting because a lot of people got it. But there was one article in Fort Worth Weekly, which was one of our little local newspapers, which I usually really like. And this movie was like, this movie could be a bad influence. People might, want to do bad things. And it just kind of missed the point of like, when you have mental illness, sometimes you feel bad things and you need to be able to express that and talk about it. So, worse things don't happen. But
don't treat people like a bag of dicks.
Don't treat people like shit, So, it's so gritty and sad. And it's so good. You don't think you're watching a movie about a comic book character.
No. It
certainly doesn't feel like it's out of the DCU.
No, fuck that. No.
Yeah.
Luckily, it doesn't. And I know it's supposed to be like, it ripped off a bit Taxi Driver and the comedian...
The King of Comedy.
The King of Comedy. Now, we've been meaning to watch the King of Comedy. We haven't gotten there yet.
And
But,
yeah.
hey, I watched Taxi Driver after Joker, and I don't give a fuck if it took things from it. It definitely did. Joker's better.
I don't know.
In my opinion, Joker is better.
I really like Taxi Driver.
I really like it too, but I don't get...
I don't think you can... I don't think it's a ripoff. I think it's kind of honoring that style. It's an homage. It's influenced by that style.
But I don't get as much of like the character connection to Robert De Niro, and it's not his fault. It's like the character. Like I don't know.
Travis Bickle.
I get that he's like... I don't like he's pent up and he feels a need to do something about things that are wrong, but I don't. It's not as good to me as far as like showing why this person's in this mental state. But best thing about Joker is that they bothered to put it in 70s New York, basically. That's the perfect time to show Gotham.
Because there was just murder
fucking Gotham.
And drugs, and the mob was running everything, and it sucked, and there was trash everywhere. Everything is so freaking good about this movie.
And if they're smart, they could make a sequel where Batman is the real villain.
Because he's a rich Republican?
Yeah.
What they did with Thomas Wayne was brilliant.
Yes, turning Thomas Wayne into Trump, basically, was amazing. He was such a piece of shit.
It was good.
Like, oh, you fucking clowns.
By the time Thomas Wayne met his end, I was like, meh.
Yeah.
Fuck around, found out.
I mean, and I get the whole, like, backlash of, like, oh, no, we're, like, humanizing shooters and shit, which, people shouldn't be fucking
incite violence. Like, it's already violent. We don't need help from movies. Things are already bad.
But maybe if it is a mental health issue, maybe it'll help with that. I don't know.
Maybe it brings more awareness to that.
Stop giving them guns. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe that too. So I say this as someone with mental illness. I don't need to have one. So, okay, so let's walk away from Joker and then totally changing gears again. Number 18 is Stick It. From 2006, and this is one that AJ introduced me to, and this is kind of one I think it's kind of like a girl's movie, but I didn't think you would be interested in it, but...
I don't know when I watched this, but I was a teenager, and I think at that time in my life, I mean, I still do, but I think at that time in my life, I liked things where girls were with females who were more like, I don't know, tomboyish, like, willing to get out and do shit with the boys or whatever, like Missy Peregrine in this movie. Because it opens with her being all skater girl and shit with the guys and just fucking around.
Even though she's a spoiled rich kid in Plano, Texas.
It's like, most of the people in the movie are girls, but it doesn't feel like girl-sploitation where they're gonna like, this is how girls act. And a dude really fucking wrote this.
It was a smart movie. It was written by Jessica Bettinger, and she had written Bring It On, and then she wrote and directed Stick It, and it's about gymnastics. But it's good. Like, I didn't do gymnastics or anything, so I don't have a personal vested interest in her background.
You can feel like what they wanted to say. So
you get interested in their world. That's what I like about a good movie or a story or something. You can get interested in this little slice of life or this niche interest without having been exposed to it before. And it's really funny. Jeff Bridges is in it. The music is good. It's smart. It's a really good comedy.
And it gives us inspiration to try to write
we
want to
write like the Taekwondo version of Stick It / Bring It On. So one of these days maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
So I still want it to be like a Pumse Forms girl and a sparring guy have to get together and do something. Tournaments are a ridiculous shit show with Taekwondo, so we'd love to be able to make fun of that.
The fist foot way is out there, but
Foot
it's
fist way.
Foot fist way is out there, and that's fine. And I like that one, but I would like somewhere between that and this.
And Stick It, yeah. Like the Stick It version of a Taekwondo movie.
Yeah.
So that one's really funny. Okay, 19 is one that we both discovered that we loved, and I didn't really expect AJ to like this, and it is Annie from 1982.
Annie's the shit.
Annie's the shit! Sometimes we'll just be watching a movie, you know who could handle this situation? Fucking Annie!
Oh, we also had this theory that Annie becomes Batgirl.
And Annie exists in the It universe because Tim Curry is Rooster. He's one of the antagonists in It, and we think it's really Robert Gray, who was one of Pennywise's aliases.
It was just a long game to get to Annie, which would therefore get him to the orphanage where he could eat all
those delicious
the girls
children
he wants.
who can do the most incredible acrobatics.
Yeah, fuck.
Yes, everything about this movie's so good. The singing, the dancing, the acrobatics.
Look in the background.
Just fucking Hard Knocks life. Look at the way those kids jump off of light fixtures and stuff.
Spinning off of shit that you can't even see how it turns. And
yeah, the singing and what's this? Albert Finney is so good as Oliver Warbucks. It's so good.
Page.
Yeah, the acting, the singing.
I understand. You're conducting a coast-to-coast search for Annie's parents.
Yeah, I told you that before we went on the air. Oh, yes. Bert Healy. I am now conducting a coast-to-coast nationwide search for Annie's parents. Drop page. Warbucks continues.
Annie's parents, if you're listening, please contact Oliver Warbucks.
Warbucks interrupts. At my house, Bert Healy, 987 Fifth Avenue, New York City. Thank you, Bert Healy. And thank you, all new Iodent, the toothpaste with Miracle K64 to fight Hallie
Tulsis,
for letting me talk to you this evening. Good night, Bert Healy, and good night for the Red Network. Drop page. Did I just do a commercial? Let's get out of here.
Singing. We love to watch this movie over and over again, and I loved Annie as a child. Like I don't remember a time in my life where I wasn't into Annie. So
I think I saw it like probably for the first time when I was 5th or 6th grade when we had music class, and I don't know, but I liked it.
Annie's the shit.
I always said I didn't like musicals, but I really liked this, and I really liked The Sound of Music, but this is like
good. Carol Burnett is Miss Hannigan. Actually, my favorite song is where Carol Burnett and Albert Finney do a duet. He comes over to get her to sign the adoption papers for Annie, and she's just drunk as a skunk and hitting on him the whole time, and he's just like, I'll put you in jail. Bah.
He just sings the whole song.
He sings when she falls into like a bathtub full of gin. So it's so good. It makes me want to watch Annie again.
Just sign.
Yeah. On the line.
And it wasn't until like this last year or so when we were watching it, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but we're like, Daddy Warbucks. Warbucks
is a hell of a name.
Oh, it's just there in the name. He makes fucking bombs to blow up probably brown people.
Blow up all those poor people.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, the remakes all suck.
Yeah, they're not good.
They're not good.
They usually just do a worse version, and like the Jamie Foxx version at least tries to do some different stuff, but it's just
such a stinker though. It's so bad.
You would think all the money they could put into it, and they don't try. Anyway,
let's not get people who can sing or dance or anything or have good songs. All right, so this brings us to our final appreciation movie, and it's a series. And it is the Fast and the Furious series, which stretches from 20 years, 2001 to 2021. Somebody's commenting Jamie Foxx can sing.
Yes, Jamie Foxx can sing.
Yes, look up the song Blame It on the Alcohol. The alcohol. I'm not going to do the song.
It's not his fault. It's just the movie wasn't good.
T.I.'s in it. It's all auto-tune. It's a good song.
Yeah, but his version of Annie, it wasn't his version. He just happened to be in it, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, don't watch that version. He
did fine in it.
Yeah, he was like an introvert who hates people.
He's
and I
fucking
think
Jamie Foxx,
you
so
and I
he
are the
did
same
good.
person.
But
Yeah.
the girl who played Annie couldn't really sing.
She wasn't good. And then Cameron Diaz fucking sucked.
She could probably sing a lot
Miss
better than me,
Hannigan?
but that's not saying fucking
She was
anything.
terrible, Miss Hannigan. Anyway, so if you want to hear Jamie Foxx sing, listen to the auto-tune, Blame It on the Alcohol. Don't waste your time on 2014 Annie.
And yeah, so
okay,
now we're
finally,
down to
the last one.
The series we just did a podcast about, and we totally forgot to fucking save it all.
So this will be in the universe of our podcast. So Fast and the Furious, so we won't go into detail, but it goes from 2001 to currently 2021, and there are going to be even more movies. This was one that I wasn't interested in seeing. I don't really like action movies. I do not give a shit about cars. I don't care. And I think you had maybe seen it?
I saw one of them when I was a kid, but I was a kid, I didn't give a fuck. And then I saw another one whenever I was driving, but it was just because it was the weekend, had to go do something. Anyway, and so watched it just because it was the weekend, and that meant we were going to the movies. So fucking saw like the fourth one, and whatever. And then I saw the eighth one on my brother's couch, and I was like, "This is stupid." I'm watching the whole series. So.
But they're so funny.
So let's see.
Yeah, they're so stupid.
That's 9 movies? 10?
11 if you count the unofficial prequel.
Yeah, well, okay. With the unofficial prequel,
you have to listen
11,
to our Fast and Furious episode.
That means that's somewhere around 20 hours of film. That means that gave us 6 months of jokes between each other.
Something like that. It's good fodder to watch with somebody to make fun of it.
Because we sit and we pause every, sometime. Well, we even got to the point where we look at what time we pause the first pause, and it's like a minute in.
Yeah, sometimes it's like 44 seconds in. We're like, okay, we're stopping to talk about. This is how this whole podcast started, because we just talk about movies all the time.
So that means that for every one of the Fast and Furious movies, except for the two we saw in theaters, in which case we couldn't pause. That means we, every 5 minutes probably pause to say some shit that lasted another 10 minutes.
They're so dumb.
So it probably took us, weeks and weeks and weeks to watch all of them.
Yeah, probably.
The way we take shit. But, it's just fun.
They're just fun and stupid.
And there's nothing else quite like it.
No.
Nothing hits that weird craving of insanity and pitbull music and hot females and whatnot.
You really want a bag of Doritos, and you shouldn't, because you already kind of blew your diet and stuff, but, fuck it, you're going to have that bag of Doritos. This is the ultimate bag of Doritos.
Fast and Furious, you're a bag of 3D Doritos.
No, because those weren't good when we bought them.
No, I'm telling the original 3D Doritos were amazing.
Okay, so they're the original 3D Doritos.
Yes.
Okay.
3D Doritos were the shit.
3Ds, a new dimension in chips. Will they open the portal to a new dimension?
We're the hardest MCs to ever bless the scene. We own every block, you know what I mean? Is there jamming? People slamming? Rhythm ticking? We'll be kicking. So when you see us coming,
these guys are off the hook.
That's hot.
Is there more to the crispy new Doritos 3D Zesty Ranch snacks than meets the eye? 3Ds. Get a taste of the next dimension.
The new Doritos, they're 3D, suck.
Yeah, they weren't good.
Fuck you, Doritos. Go back to the original.
Go back to the original. Okay, but Fast and Furious,
chop,
honey,
chop, bitches.
Fast and Furious, you stay the same. Okay, so that's our list of movies that we've introduced each other to. That's a lot.
Yeah.
We've introduced each other to many, many more, but this was kind of the top,
the
best
top
of the
20,
best of the best, and the best of the best.
Should Avatar be on there?
That's a TV show. We already went off with Fruits Basket. Yeah, we didn't watch that together, though. I watched that on my own.
This is true.
So.
Okay, so you want to just read the list real quick, just from top to bottom to...
Just as a recap, so if you want to go track down these movies yourself and watch them, so Man from Earth, Soul, Fruits Basket, which is an anime series, Grave of the Fireflies, Sideways, Lost in Translation, Akira, In This Corner of the World, The Purge, Your Name, Saw, The Planet of the Apes series, Unleashed, Clueless, Frailty, Goodfellas, Joker, Stick It, Annie, and the Fast and the Furious series, which includes Hobbs and Shaw.
And, what's the other one? The prequel?
The prequel is She's All That.
Yeah, it includes She's All That.
Yeah, we won't say why. We'll say that in our Fast and Furious episode. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So, yeah, follow us here, obviously, on Twitch, YouTube,
Spotify,
Anchor,
iTunes.
all under Movie Painter Pleasure.
All under Movie Painter Pleasure. We also have an Instagram page, Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast, and you can follow me and see more of my writing shenanigans at Melanie Gibson Author.
She has a book. Buy it.
Oh, should we talk about my book? Okay.
No talking, just this.
Okay, so yeah, AJ's holding up the book to the screen, so I guess I'll talk about it. It's called Kicking and Screaming, a memoir of madness and martial arts, and it is about how I used Taekwondo to help me get through some tough mental illness issues. And since we've already established that I have mental illness issues, we were talking about Joker, it's a good read.
If
so
you want to support the podcast, buy it. Fuckers.
Don't insult people when you're asking them to buy things.
It's so aggressive.
So anyway, okay, join our cult, be my victim. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you for Christmas movies in December. Bye.
Christian Christmas.
And Christian movies. Okay, bye.